From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
100% contained, but not out yet. I'm Annie Johnson with the latest information on the Bridger Foothills fire coming up.
Voters in Butte aren't just voting by mail. I'll tell you all the other options they have.
A committee vote to send Amy Coney Barrett's Supreme Court nomination to the full Senate is scheduled for today. I'm Laura Podesta with the latest, including what Democrats may attempt in order to delay the process.
Happy Thursday, Southwest Montana. It is 4:30. Chet Lehman, Matt Elwell, and a few fluffy flakes here.
It's not a lot. It depends on location, obviously. Here's a look at the scene from our Billy and Otto weather patio earlier this morning.
There you go.
See, it's not really accumulating on the ground necessarily, some of the grassy surfaces, but definitely coming down at a pretty good clip this morning, and we're not alone. Right now, most areas dealing with temperatures into the 30s. Here's a look at our satellite and radar. Remember, we don't get a lot of low-level coverage here in southwest Montana, and it doesn't extend very far south. The snow is expected to be around for the morning hours and then disappear. Here's a look into Bozeman, our planner, into the 40s. So leave a little extra time as you're heading, especially if you're going out over some of the area passes. We're monitoring what's going on there. This is in Butte.
There we go.
It is a beautiful fall morning in the mining city. Temperatures into the 40s for the afternoon. Still a little wind to contend with, but not as bad as it has been. We're going to break it all down for you coming up in just a few minutes.
Well, and we're going to stay in the mining city right now for our top story. Both Butte branches of Wells Fargo banks have temporarily closed after an employee in each location tested positive for COVID-19. Wells Fargo branches on Main Street and Harrison Avenue now closed and are undergoing deep cleaning. Locations are expected to reopen as soon as possible, with the Harrison Avenue branch expected to open on October 23rd. That's next Friday. Customers may use the ATM and do banking online until then. Well, cooler temperatures and even limited precipitation driving down the Bridger Foothills fire. MTN's Annie Johnson has the latest on what's happening with the fire now and what this means for people who live nearby.
New reports say the Bridger Foothills fire is now 100% contained. Some great news regarding a devastating topic.
We were able to reach that amount of containment, full containment, due to the recent weather that we've had.
Meaning the fire's contained, but it's not out yet.
Basically, containment can be a bunch of different things. Most of the time, containment is achieved through just going through with old-fashioned hard work with Pulaskis and chainsaws and digging fire line. So once we have that fire line all the way around the fire, that's 100% contained.
The fire is currently burning 8,224 acres, but since it's contained, officials don't anticipate it spreading anymore.
That's the current acres, and that is most likely going to be our final acreage for the Bridger Foothills fire. We do not anticipate any more growth at this point.
The Bridger Foothills fire wasn't the only fire in this district this year, but it may have just been the hardest to fight.
This year we've had close to, I think, 15 fires on the district here, and most of those we catch at 1/10 of an acre. Where and when this one started was a day that we didn't have a real good opportunity to fight this one right off the bat.
The cooler weather helped contain the fire, but it doesn't mean another one can't happen.
Right now, people need to be just as proactive with their fire safety now as you would back in August. Like I said, this is the time of year we see a lot of hunter fires out there.
Just like Jeff said, just because the fire is 100% contained and certain restrictions have been lifted does not mean you should be any less cautious. Reporting in Bridger Canyon, Annie Johnson, MTN News.
4:34 now, back to the mining city. While election officials in Butte say it's perfectly secure to mail in your ballots, many voters are electing to drop off their choices in person. MTN's John Amy reports on how that is changing the way election office is doing business this year.
There's been a steady stream of voters in Butte dropping off their ballots in person at the courthouse and even mobile units around the city. The clerk and recorder decided to give voters more options other than the mail after receiving numerous calls of concern.
The concern with the postage, fraud, the national news is not great news in our country. They are very concerned.
About 800 people dropped off ballots on Monday alone.
People are really involved, it seems, more so this election. We're having people register who have never voted before in their 60s and 70s.
2 mobile ballot drop-off units were set up in the parking lot of Walmart and the Butte Plaza Mall this week to make it easier for voters. Hollis assures voters that mail-in and drop-off ballots are secure and they shouldn't worry about alleged fraud.
In Montana, be very confident. Your clerk and recorders are doing their job.
The workers here at this mobile unit in the Butte Plaza Mall say they've been very busy and that voters say they like the convenience of it and knowing their vote is being deposited securely.
We are taking the registrations and she's writing them down, makes sure the signature's there, and I'm stamping them and asking them to watch me put it in the box.
In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
Now, John tells us that mobile unit will be at their locations from 9 o'clock in the morning until 4 in the afternoon, Monday through Friday, up to the day before the election. On the national scene, there are just 19 days until Election Day, and Senate Republicans moving quickly to confirm Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court by then. Meanwhile, President Trump continues to hold rallies across the country, visiting Iowa last night, despite fears of over a surging coronavirus there. CBS's Laura Podesta is on Capitol Hill this morning with the latest.
I can't give a yes or a no.
Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett sidestepped some questions from Democrats for the second day in a row on Wednesday.
You think it's wrong to separate children from their parents to deter immigrants from coming to the United States?
A matter of hot political debate in which I can't express a view.
Do you believe that climate change is happening and it's threatening the air we breathe?
I will not express a view on a matter of public policy.
Republicans offered her their full support as they look to create a 6-3 conservative majority on the court.
I have never been more proud of a nominee than I am of you.
There's nothing wrong with confirming to the Supreme Court of the United States a devout Catholic pro-life Christian.
A committee vote to send Barrett's confirmation to the full Senate is scheduled for today, though Democrats want to push it to next week in order to delay her confirmation as long as possible.
We made the right choice, right, with Amy.
President Trump held a rally last night in Iowa, where our CBS News Battleground tracker shows he's tied with former Vice President Joe Biden.
Get the hell out to vote, because if I don't get Iowa, I won't believe that one.
The trip drew criticism due to a recent surge of coronavirus cases and hospitalizations.
To hold a rally is beyond selfish when you're putting that many lives at risk.
The second presidential debate was scheduled for tonight, but was canceled after the president tested positive for COVID-19 and then refused to debate Biden virtually. Laura Podesta, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Just a reminder, both candidates are actually instead holding separate competing town halls tonight. So no debate, but they'll be competing in the town hall forum. 4:38. Halloween just around the corner.
Yeah, I'm aware. I have a lot of kids ready for it.
Winston ready? Winston is Matt's dog.
Yeah, that's my dog. I haven't asked.
I'll help you. Trick-or-treating this year, but that doesn't mean you don't have a little fun, especially with your pets. Millions of people planning to dress up their pets, according to a new survey from the National Retail Federation. 10% of pet owners choosing pumpkin costume for their friends. 6% they'll dress their dog or cat as a hot dog. Other costumes, of course, superhero, dressing a dog as a cat, that kind of stuff. PetSmart says it's safe to dress up your pet, but introduce them to the costumes carefully, obviously. The cone of shame in Winston's case.
Yeah, he had the cone of shame there for a few weeks.
Anyway, any thoughts on that?
I think you're familiar that I don't dress up my pets. My kids, however,
I was going to say,
may have
now
a
I'll talk to
thought.
the people actually in charge of the Winston costume. We'll find out.
I'm only in charge of the checkbook when it comes to that.
I could just picture him in little waders and.
Oh, Winston waders.
See, I think that would be
see
cool.
where that name came
this
from.
This isn't
right?
my first day. So
no, it's not.
4:39. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, one more form of flying getting more popular during the pandemic. How is that working? After the break, find out what's hot in the sky as people look for a safer way to fly. And with general hunting season opening in just a few days, we'll take a look at some reminders for those getting ready to head out. That's this week in Fish and Wildlife. Meantime, Matt?
Yeah, maybe some of that snow driving the elk down a little bit. Looks like we are dealing with, in some cases, chubby rain, other cases, all-out snow. We're going to talk more about what you can expect as you head out the door this morning. Coming up on 4:40 on this Thursday morning, you're watching Montana This Morning.